As a mortarman, you are to provide indirect fire support for your battalion, other Marines. You're there watching their back. And we were setting up outside Fallujah for an invasion. We gave the people in Fallujah 24 hours to vacate. As we were setting up, we got ambushed. And I can't really mention any names. My lieutenant had us retreat. And that would be the only regret I had. I was in a pit, ready to charge forward, just by myself. I didn't care. I've been waiting for action for months now, and I knew if I went, other Marines would have followed me. But I was so disciplined in obeying direct orders that I pulled back with the rest of the guys and never had my chance to do that. That's the only thing I think about when I go to sleep sometimes.
The SUNY New Paltz rugby team entered the 2007 season with the bitter taste of their previous season still fresh in their minds. The team struggled through the season, finishing with a record of 0-4.
Well, it's difficult when you're going out there and you're playing your hardest and you're losing by 1, by 2. We had a rough start. We had a big loss to Albany to start off, and we fought back. We improved a lot. And every week we figured we got it this week, this is going to be the week we're going to turn it around. And we do everything we wanted to do, play hard, play a close game, and just come up a little short at the end.
But the team has high hopes for this season, with the introduction of former intercollegiate All-American coach John McNamara.
I kind of decided to get back into coaching. I recognized that New Paltz was certainly a local campus. And it struck me that there's great potential for rugby on this campus. And so I contacted the team. I started working with them just a little bit in the fall, and then kind of made a formal presentation to them at the beginning of this spring season. So I made them a pitch, and they acquiesced. Crouch. Touch. Pause. Engage. Steady. Hold. Steady. Hold. Hold.
We were just starting with a coach, so it was a transition from never having a coach since 1985. Our team has been around, and we have never had a coach. It's usually been the seniors, the older guys, leading the team, coaching us.
But neither McNamara nor the rest of the team see their previous lack of a coach as a disadvantage.
There's some interesting dynamics on the team. There's internal leadership that's completely organic, which is actually a very good thing.
We asked team captain and starting flanker Keith Van Wickler what goals the coach and team set for this season.
I focus more on fitness. We noticed, every other team is not necessarily better and more skilled than us, more talented, but just in better shape.
It's an 80-minute game. You're in constant movement for about 65 minutes of every game, kind of like soccer, except it's also a wrestling match. And you're driving into other players, and it's full contact. So I think in the world of international sport, it's probably the most demanding sport there is.
When I got back, I was at the, down at Mobile, the parking lot. Some guy needed a ride somewhere. I'm like, oh yeah, like his battery died, some fucking story. Long story short, I ended up giving this dude a ride all the way to Poughkeepsie. He just kind of conned me. It was him and his wife or something, and she was in the back seat, and he's here, and I'm it got to the point where he's leading me to some sketchy ass part of Poughkeepsie, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm getting jumped. I'm totally gonna get ambushed here in a second. So I start going through my mind okay, well, how am I gonna handle this situation? I'm about to be attacked. I might get killed. I don't want to die. So I always carry a pocket knife. So I start going through my head. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just going to stab this guy in the throat. The second that I get, that I even sense that this might be going weird, I'm just going to start stabbing him in his throat. It'll probably freak out his wife. I'll be able to get out of the car, and I'll kind of figure it out from there. But I basically I had psychologically committed myself to killing this dude who's sitting across from me in my seat, and it ended up not happening, right? I was just kind of being probably hypersensitive to the situation. Just a weird dude who needed money to go get a fix. That was it. But in my mind, I flipped over into G.I. Joe mode of how am I gonna address this threat? How can I neutralize this threat? and get out of the kill zone, and continue mission.